It's about time I did another one of these. Politics that will piss you off, part 3. So, how do I justify my politics? Well, who doesn't want to live in a world where you're free to determine your own decisions, live the way you want, and have the government fuck off and tax you less, and quite frankly, if you're not hurting anyone, then you should be left alone. Live life like a pirate that follows the law. Where's the rum? Pass the weed. Light a victory torch. In times of crisis, do what you must to protect your village. Part of the ship, part of the crew. Simple as that. That's it in a nutshell. Do no harm, take no shit. Now, when it comes to the whole geopolitical thing, the whole international chess game that we've been playing for centuries, quite frankly, if you want my sources, you can wait until I build my website and I'll have everything archived there. Put simply, there are certain sources, credible as they may be, that YouTube doesn't like and will get you banned just for sharing them. But if you want a couple of YouTube available resources in order to verify some of what I'm saying, who do show their sources and you can go to verify them yourself, redonkulus.com, Terrence Pop, Gruntspeak, his various channels, TFI Global, RT, Russian television, Al Jazeera. If you want your left and right wing, you can get Fox and CNN, but at the end of the day, Rupert Murdoch and all those other assholes own mainstream media. They only feed you what they want you to see. Now, with my research over the last 3 years, and I saw this coming when I was in high school over half a decade ago, basically, here's what you got. In the Anglosphere, there's a trigger word that YouTube won't like. You've got multiple alliances aligned to the US. And I'm about to get into this. The British Empire never fell. It changed leadership. It went to the Americans. America took over. They are now the crown of the British Commonwealth, essentially. Australia got semi-independence, India got full independence, so on and so forth. This was mandated by the Americans for their support of the British in World War II. India has a mutual defence pact with the Americans, and it has a mutual defence pact with the British Commonwealth, which includes Australia, New Zealand, Canada, so on and so forth. India is at odds with Pakistan, India is also at odds with China. They're literally having fistfights on the border. Something called the line of actual control. Don't believe me? Look up TFI. Yes, they are having Indian bias, but that is because they are an Indian news source that translates into English for the privileged white motherfuckers like us who don't speak Hindi. RT does the same thing. You don't need to speak Russian or read Cyrillic. You can just go to RT in English to get a Russian point of view. Here's the kicker. India has a mutual defense pact now with Russia. Russia has also been playing peacemaker with the two Koreas, North and South Korea, Kim Jong-un versus K-pop. Now, bet you didn't hear about that on the news. We all thought Russia was the bad guy, right? But yeah, India's been playing peacemaker with the Russians, and the Russians has been playing peacemaker with the Koreans. China has been slowly putting more and more pressure onto Korea, which has led to Korea turning around. And when I say Korea, in this case, I'm referring to the northern part of the peninsula. They've been turning to Russia, a former ally back when it was the Soviet Union days. Mongolia is a buffer state between India and China, India and Russia, and basically, ever since this whole fiasco in Afghanistan, Russia has been mobilizing troops around Pakistan sorry, not Pakistan, Afghanistan. You know, fuck, I'm not even doing multiple takes. You're gonna have my little Freudian slips kiss my ass. They have been mobilising troops around Afghanistan and arming up several people who don't like the Mujahideen, Taliban, Al Qaeda, so on and so forth, ISIS-K. And not only that, but India has been marshalling troops on the border without guns, and so has China, with what they call the line of actual control. All it takes is for India to declare war, and you have most of Southeast Asia and Russia backing them up, as well as America and the European bloc, because here's the deal. Even though Brexit is a thing, the UK is still a part of NATO, which the European Union is a part of, and the European Union is making moves to make its own military. Now, the European countries have their own little militaries, but there is going to be an EU army soon. This is something that you can look up. It's real. Soon there will be a European Union military bloc. These countries are a part of NATO, which also includes Turkey. Turkey is an ally with a mutual defense pact with Russia. So now we have two avenues of which Russia is allied, indirectly, to the Yanks. Australia, we're the whipping boy of the Yanks. We do what we are told. America goes somewhere, we follow like a good little puppy. It's just the facts. We have fought more wars for the Yanks than we have for the Brits. Now, basically, without me being a pedantic, smart-ass asshole, and I'm trying so hard not to, you've got Taiwan. China's policy hinges on eventually reclaiming Taiwan. And here's a little bit of history for you. Taiwan is the legitimate government of China. The Red Chinese, Mao Zedong, his little rebellion, his revolution, whatever you want to call it, he forcibly took control of a country that didn't elect him. Forced the democratic government to the island of Taiwan, and it's been a stalemate ever since, because the Yanks got involved. Then you've got Japan. Japan turned around and basically said that if China invades Taiwan, that it will be a direct threat towards the Japanese, and therefore the self-defense force, because they don't have a proper military at this stage due to the World War II treaty that banned them from having a proper military for about 100 years, their self-defense force would be deployed to reinforce Taiwan, to which the Chinese turned around and said, well, we'll fucking nuke you if you try to do that. So now China is threatening Japan for saying that they would protect Taiwan. Now, Japan is a part of the Quad. Japan, America, Australia. Japan, America, Australia, and India. Yet another alliance involving India, the great peacemaker, the great negotiator. So we have that little alliance going on. The Quad is also reaching out to countries like Vietnam, because Vietnam's getting fed up with China. So think about that. Everyone, if you look at this world map, is encircling China for the inevitable moment that they either invade Taiwan, or they piss off the Indians enough with their little fistfights on the border, that India goes, you know what, fuck it, we'll start the show. Do I think we can win? Yes, but it's the first fair fight we've ever picked. Their numerical superiority is the one advantage they have. Technologically, they're still behind us. Smart play is to combine all of our navies and starve the motherfuckers out and force internal revolution. Maybe a few boots on the ground to keep them out of India and Russia, and stop Mongolia from falling. A lot of people think that nukes will be involved. I say that going one of two ways. China will launch off one or two, they'll get shot out of the sky, and will nuke something. And then everyone will shit themselves and go, well, this ain't gonna fucking happen because we do much more, we're gonna have a nuclear winter ice age. Then you don't have to worry about climate change. And here's the thing that makes me an evil cunt. I don't care about climate change. I want to retire in Alaska or Idaho or somewhere along those lines where it's nice and snowy. But in saying that, if climate change goes unchecked for the next 100 or so years, all of Russia, all of Alaska, all of those frozen parts in the Northern Hemisphere and all of Antarctica, the snow is going to melt just enough that it will become agrarian farmland and places you can mine to your heart's content, extending the oil industry by another 100 years, giving us enough time to perfectly perfect hydrogen and electrical cars and go completely carbon neutral without the mad rush of strip mining for the lithium ion, which does more damage than oil fracking. These are facts. Look it up. Drone development. Drones are developing so fucking fast that it's not too long that boots on the ground will be considered as specifically a special forces role. We already have drones in the sky. We already have drones with fucking 50 caliber machine guns and sniper rifles attached to essentially a robotic dog. We are developing drone tanks. Everything's going to be mechanized to the point that, for all intents and purposes, you could release a Call of Duty game and, you know, that 12-year-old kid that reckons he's got a KD ratio of 150 to 0, he has no idea that he's actually fighting in Kashmir, for example. We could do that. Would it be incredibly unethical? Yes. But it could be done. Now, how do I see the next 100 years playing out? Either this Cold War will continue to be a standoff and we'll use this new boom into the space race to obfuscate it, or it will eventually go hot. It will be used as a means of population control. We are not overpopulated. We have the technology to feed a population twice the size we have now easily, but the powers that be don't want it to happen. Synthetic meats. There is lab-grown chicken breast. This is public knowledge. Chicken breast grown out of petri dishes. It's real chicken without the chicken. If they're willing to talk about it, what is top secret is always 20 to 30 years ahead. Motherfucker, they have stockpiles of this shit. If you can buy lab chicken, by now they have lab beef, lab venison, lab everything. So you can have 100% cruelty-free meat at this stage, if the technology was made publicly available. Which would also be more environmentally conscious than going vegan, because your soy crops do more damage to the environment than fucking raising cattle. That's also a fact. Look it up. So politics that will piss you off part 3. How do I see this going? Population control followed by a population boom, followed by increasingly scary development of technology, and going into space. Will I live to see all of that? Maybe, maybe not. But we're also very close to life extension technology, where this can be copied to a hard drive and put into a computer. And technically speaking, there's nothing stopping us from cloning human bodies. Dolly the sheep was in the 80s, and we are not that much more complex than a fucking sheep. Sure, Dolly the sheep didn't live that long, but we've had over 20, 40 years of development since then. As soon as we figured out how to put this into a computer, teach it a few things inside the computer and then put it back, bingo bango, we have immortality, baby. Now, I hope I live to see the prototype. I will never afford it, unless I'm a part of the testing program, but motherfucker, if I did, bye. I'm putting myself on a hard drive and passing myself down the family for 1,000 years and then saying, give me a motherfucking starship. Politics that will piss you off part 3 complete. Quick little addendum, something I forgot to mention is Israel. Israel's also been playing peacemaker, kissing up to Russia. They're already in the pocket of America, or the other way around, depending on what side of the political spectrum you lie on. But they've been getting a lot of the Middle East to turn around and basically ally with them against Iran. Iran's got a little Cold War of its own going on between the Sunni and the Shia states, between them and Saudi Arabia. And basically, the Middle East has been getting so pissed off of Iran that they are turning to Israel. America was involved in that. Not Biden, Trump. So yeah. I don't like the man, but he did a half decent job. Kiss my ass.